Hello and welcome to Ledgercast. My name is Brian Crossguard here with Josh Olswich. Hey Josh. Josh has now disappeared. Let's see if Josh is back. Hey Josh.
Hey, sorry.
No, it's
I'm
all
here.
right.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here. We're live.
We are. I think you should just not screen share. I think
Yeah.
all the issues happen when you screen share. We're having technical difficulties today. Not on my end. I blame Josh.
That's
or
fair.
or the app that we use to stream. One of those. But it's good to be here with you and everybody else. Markets are tough, man. What else are we supposed to say?
Markets are just completely brutal in every regard. Just like,
Top story.
I don't know of anything that's positive right now, honestly.
Well, the Dixie is just like going super turbo at the moment. I don't really even know what to say to this chart. It's just like super parabolic, and that's not going to make it. That's not going to make it easy for any other asset to do anything whatsoever.
No, at the very least, that has to settle down. And in order to get that down, we need the euro to stop going to zero. In order for the euro to stop going to zero, you need the energy stuff to get figured out. And in order for that to get figured out, you need Ukraine to get figured out. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it looks like any shitcoin chart that you've ever seen is going to zero. DXY looks like it looks like Safe Moon, any quantity you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's crazy because that's a wedge on DXY with a bear div that's getting canceled today as it goes to 112, 113.
Yeah, this is just a straight year and a little bit of pure capitulation on the euro.
I mean, obviously, we're looking at charts, but people are living this, and I wouldn't want to be over there right now, considering what they're staring down as far as energy costs through winter. But it's definitely being felt on everything. Even S&P is down big today. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where else do you go from here, right? I guess you look at downside targets, considering BTC is basically on the yearly low. It's at previous all-time high. There's plenty of reasons it could chill here for a little while, but it just does not look good on technicals.
No. S&P is basically at the lows that it hit in mid-June. Just a hair away from the 200-week moving average. But if it gets to the 200-week moving average, funny enough, that's a kind of a sign of lower lows at the same time. So it makes it a scary place to consider as support. Another 2.5% away from that 200-week moving average. The NASDAQ is basically right at it, if that's what you're looking at. You can also point to some just these equal levels with a lower high. What would you call this? Inverse cup and handle type stuff, if you're trying to pattern it out.
All the way back to July. Yeah, I see that now for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
If you go back to a year, fall 2020.
Yeah.
Just boop, boop.
I mean, on S&P, if you just measure the high to the June low and fib that out, 3,200 to 2,900 is a reasonable expectation.
Mm.
And if you want to zoom way out, I always stumble upon these old drawings from TradingView that I have on here, but it's just crazy pitchfork. It's just a channel, whatever. But it dates back 1988, and 3K is the midline of this fractal, or this channel. Sorry. So I don't think it's unreasonable if we go in truly recessionary territory. I think we're at the definition of a recession. I don't think we're
We're not feeling the full effects of the recession.
Yeah, we're not deep into it yet, but looks like we will be soon. Mortgages at 6.3 plus for 30-year
Really?
fixed. Yeah.
6.3. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, if the Fed needs to hike until they break something, what are they going to look to see if something's broken? I think that's my next question. Are they really going to come out in November and hike another 75?
It seems like it.
They definitely want to, and if CPI is not down, which arguably nothing they do can even bring it down, they're trying demand destruction. But if this doesn't appear to be a demand issue, it appears to be a supply issue. But that's a whole separate conversation. Anyway, if they come out with 75 again in November, and then again in like 2023, like it's just baffling, It's just hard because it's stagflation, isn't it? Like you've got this recession, you've got inflation, you've got all these countries globally hiking into a recession. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
A Rose in the chat said 6.5 today with today's update. I don't know what today's update is, but mortgages will be 6.75 by next week.
There's a website, I think it's bankrate.com, that keeps track of that sort of thing. Obviously, it's variable dependent on the market and blah blah blah. But yeah, that's a very elevated level super quickly. It's like it halves the value of your capital effectively as far as what you're able to do if you even get a mortgage at this point in time, which many people just aren't, which makes sense.
Liquidity is leaving the market. People are I saw somebody call it the golden handcuffs of 3% mortgages. So why bother moving if you have to pay double the rate? Oil is well into its fourth month of down moves, but has not seemingly had a huge impact on inflation. Have you found that strange?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is SPR reduction related and supply related. I don't know. The less I have to pay attention to this stuff, the better. And all I'm paying attention to lately is this stuff. So it's kind of miserable. Because, I don't know. This is really the first cycle where you really had to know what's going on at this level and this capacity to know, okay, this stuff does not look good, So I think a lot of crypto people, especially, are just learning on the fly here, like macro LARPing, So yeah, why is oil down? I don't know. Is it a seasonal thing? Is it an SPR thing?
Sub 80 today for the first time in a long time. Gold below 1650 has made new monthly lows, and just really looks bad. I don't know what other way to put that. This one's probably related to real rates. I believe Ray Dalio recently gave a yet another kind of bullish take on gold, though, at least in the longer term. But
that looks like a failed cup and handle since 2012.
Yeah,
we talked about that probably months ago at this point, but isn't now gold's moment? What's going on, gold? Get it together, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got to be related to real rates, but it's not looking good.
That's the other thing. If you can get 3 or 4% anywhere else, I mean, GUSD on Gemini gives you 7.15 right now. Any bank account will probably give you 3%, depending on where it is. But you can definitely hunt that out. I saw Robinhood announce a 3% bank account effectively today. So that only hurts risk assets even more, because why bother, trying to gamble on risk assets when you can just put it in the risk-free rate, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I need to talk to my banks because I haven't gotten any updates on savings rates. Even ones where there's real money in there, it's 0. So that's a scam.
Yeah, it is weird. But USDC on their yield product is still 0.5%, and they hold a ton of yield generating assets on the balance sheet. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
Circle's making a lot of money right now. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, they're making a lot of money and not not
not sharing it.
Not that they need to, but you're seeing that in the issuance of USDC, which is coming down recently relative to Tether. You know, a couple weeks ago, everyone was high on the Tether shorting train and the USDC flipping train, but that has quickly passed, from what I can tell.
Due to what? Actual on-chain activity, but what's that from, do you think?
Well, the Tornado Cash stuff really tipped the bucket in the other direction towards Tether's favor.
Oh, I see.
Tornado Cash, MakerDAI, and now these rates don't help. The other part of it was Gemini's association with who's the big lender?
Genesis.
Gemini Genesis, yeah. Sorry. Circle's association with Genesis for yields. When Genesis sort of collapsed a little bit, so did the yields on USDC on Circle's website. Anyway, it's just like what else can you look at right now besides yields, because that's where the money is. You know, like you could look at ETH yield if you want to just eat the drawdown, which some people are totally fine with, understandable. Some people want to sit in cash. Some people are doing like a ladder. What is it? A bond ladder, a CD ladder, whatever it is. Savings accounts, right? Like, what do you do right now? It's not risk by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of arguments when inflation was really kicking up, saying in an actual inflationary environment, you may think, oh, I need to outperform this inflation. But then in reality, you just hope that the inflation is all you eat in terms of losses. And that's turned out to be quite true. I think it was Jeebus that was talking about that on Twitter at some point. And I found that to be prescient, because if all I got was the inflation hitting me, then that'd be no problem. It's the fact that all the every asset is getting smoked as well. Like there's very few safe havens.
Yeah, I don't know anything other than Ripple, which is up like 50% over the past week. I don't know of anything that's doing phenomenally well lately, you know?
Yeah, why is Ripple up? It's something due to the expectation for their case, I presume, with the SEC.
Partially the case, partially Jed McCaleb selling his last, whatever the SAT equivalent of Ripple. So Jed was the founder.
Is he out?
Yeah, Jed was, for those who don't know, a founder of Ripple. He got this huge judgment as a percentage of the circulating supply against Ripple and was selling on Bitstamp for years. And he finally sold his last Ripple like a couple weeks ago or something. So that's selling pressure is over. Is the short version of that story. They also have a conference coming up in a couple weeks. And
what year is it? The Swell conference?
Yeah, exactly. It's Swell. They have it every year, but if you map those out on the chart, I'm pretty sure they pump into Swell almost every time. So all of that is a part of it. The case, Jed selling being over, and the conference. There's also some technical stuff there, right? Like there's a decent case for an inverted head and shoulders. Obviously, hindsight, I didn't trade that, but it's there, you know? So there's some lining up of the ducks in the row there.
I don't even know where I can trade Ripple these days. Is it available?
That's a good point. I don't feel so bad now because you're right. Where, as an American, where would you even? I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't know of anywhere other than Binance where it's listed, but I've not been paying attention, to be honest. Ripple's one of those ones that I wrote out of my life, and I was fine with it until I see it going up in a market where nothing else is going up, and then I get sad.
Well, I think that's a part of it too, is it's not listed anywhere, so nobody can like sell it down. You know, it's just it's like Bitcash or Bcash, where it was listed nowhere and just like going up because it was only on favorable exchanges. You know.
Yeah.
So sure, that's part of it.
There's a setup on Atom that I was interested in. It was kind of dancing around this 200-day, and it seems to be really teetering on that setup. And apparently they also have a conference coming up soon, and that always makes me very nervous. So even though I was really interested if this broke up or looked like it was going to break up, was interested in Atom. I can't imagine it's going to do well on the tail end of a conference because there just seems like there's always so much hopium attached to those types of events. So it's one that I'm unfortunately probably going to stay on the sidelines yet again for.
Well, what spooked me about Atom is its outperformance. Like Ripple right now, its outperformance relative to everything else over the past couple of weeks. In some of the Valkyrie funds, we were in it, and we jumped out of it a couple of days ago. At least partially. We took partial profit on a position because it. I don't know why that thing is up as much as it is. I know they have a bunch of like IBC stuff coming and like stablecoin stuff and
The tech is good, bro.
Yeah, sure. And like you said, the conference, but I don't know. It didn't make too much sense. Technicals still look decent, but I just don't see how it does well in this environment. Irrespective of everything else,
Boomer in the chat says there's a tokenomic update on Atom, and then also he asks who is TWAPing Atom, and I do agree it has looked like someone's just been TWAPing this thing. It's like outperforming on down days, overperforming on up days. Yeah, it looks like somebody's been accumulating it.
Yeah, but it's still like on the technical side, on the trend side, it's probably the only thing that's above the daily cloud. Like it's kind of crazy how good that thing looks on technicals.
Yeah, for sure. What's your gut tell you on BTC? I mean, this weekly chart just looks atrocious to me. First time of this 2200 cross, isn't it? Hadn't you talked about that previously? Yeah, I didn't quite do it in 2015.
Yeah, it's never good when you see something for the first time to the downside, right? Like people are going to say, oh, it's super late. Go ahead, trip the cross, sell the cross, whatever. But that's not bullish. I don't care who you are. You can say crosses are lagging, but that's fine. It doesn't look great. What worries me the most is BTC is just chilling at the previous low, July low, whatever it is. No emotion whatsoever, no volume relatively. Nobody really cares that it's this low, right?
It looks disgusting.
We saw Sailor buy
6 Bitcoin.
6 Bitcoin.
I don't know what it was. It wasn't a lot. I think maybe it was 6 million.
Well, much like S&P, if you just fib out the high to low, 12 to 15 is possible if this breaks down. So I want to go to 12 to 15? No, but I think if the S&P goes to 3K, sure. ETH to 1,000 again. BTC 15.
I used to think 12 seemed ridiculous, but now it looks completely normal to me. Maybe that's a bottom signal. But just looking at the chart, it looks like it's begging for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where to look for a bottom. Nobody thinks it's going to be a V bottom. Like we need months of consolidation. It seems like September is usually trash. I'll just say that. This September is no different from a returns perspective. I don't know. It's just hard to be optimistic right now.
When you invert it, it looks very bullish. I'd like this chart if it was inverted.
Yeah, it's different when you're pushing the range high versus the range low. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing I can point to that's like, yeah, this looks like a setup, or this looks starting to look okay.
I mean, 1.4% on today's daily move for the Dixie. That is a lot. Like, this is not. I mean, this is a basket of assets that has $1 trillion implications. This is a big move that we've got going on today and this week. It's very, very severe. And that's, sometimes that's how trends finally pause, is a really severe move. But
yeah, I guess the good news is we can't go to infinity on rates or DXY. That stuff has to break eventually. And maybe it's kind of a miracle that markets are still as high as they are. relative to all that stuff going on,
Yeah.
But like the technicals are just brutal. Just brutal. ETH down like 40% since the merge. I know that's exaggerating, but it's close to that. It's probably 30.
I feel it.
It's kind of just it's still on-chain activity, but it's flat. It's still at 1 million transactions a day, which is kind of wild on ETH side of things.
Yeah, but it's not quite deflationary. It's a massive. I mean, it's a massive reduction in supply, but it's not quite deflationary with current activity.
Right, and that takes time to kick in anyway, and to expect it to like immediately go to infinity, I think is silly. So, as much as bearish as I am, and as like pessimistic as I am, Q4 may bring a new day.
A new day.
It's always been about Q2 and Q4. It's always been the case. But ETH-BTC is another chart that doesn't look as hot anymore.
Yeah, I saw it's back to its like 200-day moving average.
Just back in the range.
It is right back to the 200-day. It's right on the 20-week.
Now it just looks like nothing. When it was at those highs, it looked pretty good, but I don't know, man. I just don't know.
I like that. When it was higher, it looked good.
It did. But again, like if we're talking about a range and something's at range highs, I'm not going to be bearish unless I'm trading the range, But
yeah,
I don't think that was like a range trade per se.
Yeah,
I guess based on the merge, it might have been. But
yeah, this trade just continues to be punishing if you're trying to trade it actively. It's just a bunch of nothing.
I mean, we've talked about this many times, but I don't think ETH-BTC is a tradable pair in the broad scheme of things. I certainly wouldn't want to be day trading ETH-BTC.
Yeah. Ethereum's sitting right on the 200-week, whereas Bitcoin's below it and disgusting looking. Technically, Ethereum's making a higher low here, is right on the 200-week. Do you think this could kind of grind out and survive, or do you think that if BTC keeps going lower, that this is going to fall with it?
I think everything just falls together. I don't think one outperforms the other here.
So you're very bearish.
Yeah, until, again, I don't want to be bearish. I don't want to see this stuff break lows, but when you see, like, there's no bullish reversal pattern here. There's no bear div per se on anything. Bull div on anything. It's in this, like, bearish trend channel, both BTC and ETH. They're both below the 200-day, the 200-week. ETH is at it, but the world's falling apart. VIX is going to 35. Like what is there to be bullish about here?
I went to Europe the wrong week because the dollar's 3% stronger now. Could have gotten a discount, even steeper discount.
Yeah, I mean the euro, like you already said, that has massive implications for people, nations. It's just it's crazy to see that move. Is that 113 it just hit, DXY?
Very close to it, if not. Yeah, 113. 113.02.
Yeah, so maybe we should be happy that assets are even holding at these levels. I don't know. I literally, until I see something more significant for a longer duration, I think down is the move. Do you feel otherwise?
Yes and no. I feel like that's the most reasonable path, but I also feel like we're ripe for some kind of squeeze material again. But it's really hard to try to bet on that.
Yeah, I just don't see anything that looks good from any angle. If the markets are a fish tank, and you're checking the pH, you're making sure the glass is clean, filter's clean, right? If I'm checking the markets from all those different angles, making sure there's no parasites on the fish, right? Like there's just nothing. Everything looks okay, but nothing looks bullish.
Yeah. I had heard funding rates are kind of a mess right now. I guess it's related to some of the stuff around the merge. Have you paid attention to that at all?
Yeah, the ETH funding got very negative right up until the merge, and then that like course corrected a little bit. I think rates or funding is still on the negative side. I can look.
It's negative, but it doesn't, at least on CoinGlass, it doesn't look like it's doing anything crazy to me. Not to justify a significant squeeze, but yeah, I guess I agree with everything you're saying. I do have some bounce hopium, mostly a sentiment trade though, and I hate making sentiment trades. I think sentiment trades are very dangerous because sentiment can last a lot longer while the price action continues. I don't think there's anything to be excited about. That's for sure.
Yeah, the narrative, at least the merge narrative is played out, which the merge went really well. Nothing blew up. We should celebrate that. But
yeah, I think you would have to play it on that longer lens of like, hey, this is working. All the things we said are true. So I'm going to stick to my plan in the longer term sense. If you're DCAing or something, if you're trying to make a long-term play, I think all that's fine. If you're trying to play every $100 swing in ETH or $1,000 swing in Bitcoin, then it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, you said it. Just have a plan,
Yeah.
Everybody in this chat needs to have a plan. If ETH breaks 1,000, what are you going to do? Are you going to sell or buy? It's much easier to make that plan before.
I'll tell you one thing. I haven't had any desire to trade Bitcoin. I haven't had any desire to trade any other alt except for Atom, just because of outperformance that it had on those days. So anything I have been doing has basically been ETH or nothing. And that's not very exciting either because the outcome potential is not great on the upside. Like what do you want? Like 1,500, 1,800, 2,000. Downside potential is sub 1,000. So trying to figure out the risk reward is pretty tough. Haven't tried doing any leverage. It's just been difficult market to deal in.
Yeah, I guess you have to ask yourself, do you want to be long, short, neutral, yielding? I think people want to be long only all the time, but that hasn't been working out so well for them if they are. So just have a plan, and partition your stuff. Like 50% of it, I've said this before, 50% of what I have is just permanent cold storage. The other 50% I actively trade, right? So
yeah,
I partition myself from blowing up potentially. Just have a plan, consider all the options, including price targets, upside and downside,
Yeah.
Do I like a short if we break lows on BTC? Sure, why not? Right. ETH is a little tougher because it has that price history just above 1,000. But I think you could piggyback that trade on ETH. Like somebody already said in the chat, ETH goes higher on the upside than BTC, lower on the downside than BTC. What is that, beta, right?
Yeah.
Beta.
High beta.
High beta to BTC.
Yeah.
So
maybe a breach of 18K if you were trading bidirectionally. 18 to 15, 18 to 14, something like that might be an easy trade. I don't know. I'm probably not going to make that. My version of short is cash.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think you're clenching if we break 18 and you're short with size because
you can get squeezed anytime.
Yeah, it's like if I had to choose a trade though, long or short here, it would be short based on how that chart looks.
Yeah. It's the hopium is holding that market. It's not liquid enough. One or two reasonably sized players, and this thing breaks down. You need a turn of the rest of the market to help you. You need a tailwind with crypto, where crypto is following the S&P doing better or something, the dollar sliding. You need it to play back into that correlation. A decorrelation trade, I think, will be short-lived. And we have been performing slightly better than stocks, which is strange and maybe concerning.
Yeah, it's everything's just melting,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, like, did I feel this way in 2015? No. Like, I'm bearish on price short term, but I'm not like, man, this is such a long bear market, because we're at the previous all-time high of everything,
Well, the 2017 version of the all-time high, that never happened before. Never quite got back to the prior all-time highs in previous cycles.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if you've been here since 2021, you're like, man, why am I here? But if you've been here since 2015 or earlier, you're like, yeah, what is this? This is a Tuesday, right? Like, you for a lot of people who've been here a while, they're like celebrating still at BTCs at 20K, So
I don't think that many people are doing that. I think it's a tough market, personally.
it's very hard to trade, very hard to know what's going on at any given time. Very reactionary to every single data print. It's very tough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't get worse. It could definitely get a lot worse, but it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's been easy.
No.
But I don't have anything else, Josh. It's just still wait and see,
Yeah.
We once again are calling for the dollar to calm down before you can do anything dramatic.
Yeah. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Nothing at all.
Sit and yield and be happy. That's all.
Yeah.
Right.
For missing 2 weeks in a row, 2 weeks in a row, we really said pretty much the same thing again.
Yeah, there's just not. I don't see anything actionable that's worth taking action on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would love to see it though. Give us a move. Give us a reason.
Give us a quick rundown on NFT stuff. Anything going on?
Volume's down, but there's stuff happening. I guess there's things that have been doing all right. No huge updates on that front, I guess. I think like Bored Apes are still. I don't know if this is going to share my screen. I don't think it is. No, I'd have to. I'm only sharing a tab. Oh, it did. It shared the whole window. So like Bored Apes are still at 78 ETH floor, which is interesting. I mean, still getting wrecked versus the dollar, same way as ETH, but there's been a couple of other collections like these Ringas. I don't know if you paid attention to those, and this DigiDegaku, whatever company that is, they raised money and theirs have done really well. So there's still stuff happening. It's going fine, but not really, in my opinion, anything to write home about. I think there's still room for pain in this market. A lot of Fidenzas got bought recently. They're up to a 99 ETH floor. That's super random. But
Take a guess on whether or not I've heard Ring.
Yeah, nothing serious to write home about. We got some cool stuff coming on for Flip very shortly next week that I'll talk about. But yeah, man.
That's it.
That's it. Should we leave it there?
I think so.
You're talking and I can't hear it.
Okay, well, I guess we're done.
You're just talking and I can't hear anything.
I'm not muted. That's
So
weird.
I'm just going to assume that's it because I can't hear it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Be sure to follow Josh at Carpe Noctem, and we'll holler at you later.
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight.